Hi, I'm Neil Sackmary.
Hi, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, PEIO. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Trooper Talk.
And together, we can make a difference. Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios. We have Trooper Hagstrom and Officer McClarty here for this edition of Trooper Talk. And by the way, we're coming up to our 150th episode very soon, so keep tuned. So we talked, I saw you earlier in the week because you were able to give an officer from another state a very special coin from Nevada State Police from the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? And so we had someone very special make the coins. And, you know, it's one of the things that we're able to give from Trooper Talk to the troopers that come in. And then you were able to give that to a person from a corresponding agency who reached out and said he collects the coins. And I said to you, let me tell you where I was on Sunday morning. I was on the 215, and I saw troopers barreling down the road after me. Like, all these lights were flashing. And I was very worried. Officer McClarty was like, what were you doing, right?
Yeah, so I was going to say, actually, what
Right.
were you doing?
And it turned out that I was on the 215, traveling right before getting off for Summerlin Parkway. And as I passed the Summerlin Parkway, I saw all these other troopers in the middle of the road with cameras taking photos of whatever was in the road. And they had the exit blocked off. So they weren't coming after me. Right. They were just coming down the road, like, you know, because there was a very big problem. And so it's one of the things that we talk about, that the roads are ever changing. And so although you might travel down a road, sometimes we have to leave a little bit of extra time because you may have wanted to get off that exit and you couldn't.
Absolutely.
And so not
Things
talking about
change.
that specific thing of what happened because it was in the news.
Well, I'm going to touch a little bit on that, and
Yeah.
and I could, because we're actually asking for the public's assistance, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
This last Sunday, we had an autoped, but it was a hit and run, and so they struck an adult male, was deceased, and they left the body there, and nobody stopped, so they left. But right now, we're actively investigating that, and we're asking the public right now to, if they have any information on it, because we don't. We're trying to obtain, right now they're going through, the headlight assembly was still there. We know it's a Honda Civic, and it's 2017 to 2021. But we don't have a color of that vehicle at this time. But like I said, the suspect driver fled the scene, and we have very little information to go on, and we're just asking the public's assistance. So we've already put that out on all the social media. Our other allied agencies have all the information. So this Honda will have like some right front damage to it. So if anybody knows anything, they can call the Nevada State Police or Highway Patrol or our Highway Patrol office, or they can call Crime Stoppers, and that kind of help us solve that.
Yeah, it sucks. And so, and when we spoke, and I saw the news, I go, man, if I was 5 minutes earlier, like I would have been, I would have seen whatever transpired, and so it just broke my heart. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Again,
It's another tragic event, and this is just another pedestrian. I mean, we're close to, I think, about 40 pedestrian deaths so far in the valley, which is very unacceptable. And then let's turn back to the original thing that you said.
Yes.
Some good stuff here.
Right.
We had an amazing coin made. I had this gentleman from Kansas City PD contact me around the Super Bowl time. And a lot of agencies will make a coin with their department's logo on it, and then Super Bowl. And we also do the Super Bowl badges, every department. that hosts the Super Bowl gets to do a commemorative badge.
Oh,
So all the allied agencies, Metro, Henderson, North Las Vegas, Nevada State Police, were able to make their own badges also. But with that, there's a lot of agencies that make coins. So this gentleman contacted me from Kansas City, and I'm like, we didn't do any coins this year and everything. And I didn't even know, like a week later, I took the guy's number down, right? And then I'm like, well, we didn't do it. There's nothing I can do for him right now. And then, who's to be unknown? Officer McCarty makes this awesome coin.
Yes.
I mean, it has our Nevada State Police symbol on it, and on the back it has the Super Bowl. And I knew that you had purchased some from him, and that's why I wanted to see if you would sell one of them or whatever. And you said, no, he's a fellow officer. I'm gonna just give it to him. So I sent it out, and he was very grateful because I guess being from Kansas City with Super Bowl champions, he's got a whole collection, and he wanted to add that into his collection for Kansas City.
I'm a
or
Broncos
whatever.
fan. I would have told him no.
I'm a Bears fan, so we never win. So I don't know what it feels like.
I would have
so,
drawn on a piece of paper and sent it to him.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was a great thing you did, Neil, and he thanks you. I mean, it was exciting because at first I'm like, I told this guy no, and then a week later we have a coin made, and McClarty didn't even tell me at the beginning. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take one. You know, I'll buy one from you, and then thankfully this guy called back because I was trying to look for his number because I got all these sheets. I'm trying to look for where is this guy trying to get me. I was gonna try to get it for him, and he calls back and he goes, hey, I think I've seen something like a coin on the internet. Did you want me just to buy it on the internet, or you guys actually made some coins? So I called him back and I said, unfortunately, like a week later, they did have a coin after that. So that's how it happened.
Yeah.
So,
So it's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we bought the coins
Mhm.
so that we could give them to all the troopers when they come on to Trooper Talk, because it's important that when they come on that we give them something. And so Officer McClarty with the fantastic coins, you know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah, he did a great job on it.
they're
Looked really
fantastic.
nice.
You know what I
Looked
mean?
really nice.
Vehicular manslaughter or whatever it is that somebody would get convicted of is a very serious offense. And so whether that ends a person in jail or to the parole or the probation or whatever it is, but this is a very serious offense that when it comes to the parole and probation, the division of the Nevada State Police, this is one of the type of things that you would see someone for, right?
Absolutely, for supervision. And then what makes it even worse, it was a hit and run if we're speaking about this event.
Yeah.
So this person, or if in a similar situation, will end up on state supervised probation or parole at some point.
And it's horrific. I can't even imagine the fact of that. Someone was tragically, their life was taken again by someone. We don't know if the person was impaired or not or whatever. But it's another person who passed away on our streets.
Even if you're impaired,
Like,
why wouldn't you stop? This is a human being that you just struck. And let's say that he was still alive and you could have got him medical attention. I just don't know who does that. I mean, that's just, we've had that with our officers at the beginning of the year, hit and run and left. And I heard that he did
yes,
put in
I was
two
gonna
pleas
talk-
of
yes,
guilty to
yes.
DUI,
Yes.
manslaughter, or whatever.
40 years,
So
they said, or something like that.
It could be up to that, yeah.
With
So
no probation.
sentencing will be in June or whatever for that. But just for somebody, I don't know how they can live with themselves. That's why we're hoping that they have a conscience and come forward, after this event. Because like you said, another person tragically taken out for a senseless act. We don't know. Maybe they weren't impaired and they panicked and they got scared. Who knows? You know what I mean? But you always got to stay at the scene. I can't, or at least help the person or call.
Something.
You just,
And so we're putting a shout out to the mechanic shops, right? I mean, essentially,
Oh, absolutely.
someone is going to need to have their car fixed,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? And so if they see this type of thing, then they need to call and.
Yeah, it'll be the right
You
front
know what I'm
damage,
saying?
even probably on the side, and they probably could have some windshield damage also. but we just don't know the extent of the car. We don't even have enough for the color, but we do know it's a 2017 to 21 range Honda Civic. So that's what we're really aiming for.
We gotta keep our eyes peeled.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the fact of that because Sandy Heverly and Judy Abate, were texting me about that he did plead guilty. And so when they talk about a person, maybe not specifically this case, but so that a person pleads guilty and then they are pleading guilty to a crime, but then they don't have the option for parole, right? So there's some crimes that you have to do the whole, whatever your sentence is, like, I don't know how to explain it, right? So, like, if you're sentenced for a crime, sometimes, because I saw that and I didn't really understand it. So that if someone pleads guilty, that they have to serve the whole time, they can't take some of that on parole and be able to leave early or something, right?
Right, I believe that would be in their sentencing, though. So if they're sentenced to a crime, it'll have the extent of what they're sentenced to. So it'll be eligibility for parole after so many years. So they can't have parole until they've actually served X amount of years.
Right, okay.
Or,
and also,
yeah,
go ahead.
or they are not eligible for parole. I think there's a blanket statement for that, too.
Yeah, if they're not eligible for parole, they're going to do their full time.
Full time, and then, release.
But also, even at state levels, most prisons nationwide, you get day for day for good time. So if you're a modeled inmate and you are doing your time that's required and doing everything that's asked for your time and not getting in trouble or other issues, let's say you get a 20-year sentence, you'll probably be out in 10 years. Can't say that for everybody, because depending on the judge how he stipulates, like you said, he's got to do about this much time before they even reach that parole date. They might have certain stipulations, but if they just get a straight time, like you get 20 years with no stipulations, they could serve only half of that with good time. So with that 20 years, it'd be 10 years they'd be out or whatever.
Yeah, and then I also saw Steve Wolfson, the district attorney. Okay. He was on the news yesterday because when Sandy Heverly was here and she said all about the legislator and trying to change the legislature for if a person had to have the 3 times convicted of the DUI before they got in like big trouble or whatever. He's another proponent for the fact that he wants that done as well. And so, whatever we can do for the fact to try to change that law, because, once someone should get convicted of the DUI, they shouldn't have to wait till the 3rd thing, like she was talking about. So it was very informative when she was here.
Sure.
Because besides being very passionate about this stuff, she has a lot of knowledge about that
well,
stuff.
and she has to deal with all the victims, and that makes her even more passionate because, she's also a victim of which started DUI. The only problem is that even they want to get this passed through legislature. We have a lot of issues where we end up arresting somebody that's been convicted 8 or 9 times.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
And it's not the officer. The officer's doing his job. He's writing the reports. He's doing all the everything that he's supposed to do. And it's up to the courts and the judges, because once we arrest them and put all of our paperwork and they get sentenced, it's all up to the other half. So they got to start going by by the law and doing what they're supposed to do. I'm all for the legislature doing this new law, and it's great. I'm all for it, but we got to fix what we have now, because I don't know how many times we get people 6 or 7 DUIs, but they've only convicted on a first DUI. Second or after a 3rd DUI, you're supposed to be doing prison time. You know what I mean? To kind of teach you a lesson. Am I correct?
Right, like the other occurrences were like pled down, or they didn't get the full thing. Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. We got too many plea agreements going on all the time for these DUIs, and especially people that have been arrested, like I told you, like 6 or 7 times. Just too many plea agreements just to get people through the system.
Well, we need to do everything we can for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if these people drive the impaired and all this type of nonsense, they need to just, stay in prison or you know what I mean? Whatever.
So it's a life saved if you think about it. If you take them and give them counseling and try to get them off the alcohol or whatever, because it's a problem issue if you've been pulled 5-6 times. What's the chances of you getting caught? And for somebody getting caught for that many times, that means they're probably drinking and driving every day.
No, I mean, just when
you
you
got to
say
think
that,
about that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy because all the as many cops as we have out there, look at all the people that we have to, we can't be everywhere.
It's more than
time.
a coincidence that somebody's getting caught that many times. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. So when I was driving to work this morning, I looked over to the right, and there was 2 state troopers on Flamingo Road.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Just traveling down the road, and it was. I said to Johnny, I said, I looked over because I wanted to wave at them, but they didn't even look at me. They just kept looking face forward. But the Nevada State Police, they can patrol any road. And by the way, when you came up this morning, so do you have the lights now?
I have lights now. Yeah.
He likes that. Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
And so no top lights, just the lights on the inside.
Yeah,
of the
no
car.
light bar, just lights on the sides, front and back.
But it still looks like a ghost vehicle, though.
Yep.
Right?
It's known as an unmarked vehicle.
Yeah,
But he's
unmarked.
all
Unmarked.
lighted, unmarked. Yep.
Yeah.
I do like the term ghost, though. That sounds
It's
pretty
kind of and he's kind of. It's Officer McClarty, so he's really stealthy. You know what I'm saying? He's stealthy.
Right,
So
right,
you got to watch
100%.
him. Before you know it, you look over your shoulder, Neil, and there he is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Listen,
I'm just saying.
we were trying to
So-
take a picture this morning, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
we came and right there. You know
There he
what I'm saying?
was.
I feel like the guy on Mr. Deeds.
We might have to call him Ghost.
Right, ghost.
That's his
That's his
nickname.
name.
Yeah.
Last and final thing before we get to some pictures, how's the recruiting going?
Everything's going good.
Okay.
We're starting up a new recruitment campaign, and I feel like it's drawn in a lot of leads, and I'm getting blown up.
That's great.
Yeah.
More
That's what
than
we like to
50?
hear.
We were at 50, and then we went
So
to
I had unfortunately, I think the rain deterred a little bit on Friday, because that usually happens if something rains on a Friday. Somehow people get, I'm going to say excuses just to be blunt.
Right.
So I had like 24 people show up last Saturday, which is
That's
still
great.
good. Yep.
Yeah.
16 of those got offer letters, so they were able to move on in the process. So
That's
we got
excellent.
16 more incoming, and then we got testing this weekend too.
So 24 came,
Mm-hmm.
and 16 got offers, and then when it comes to the others, they need to do.
The others either they failed the written test,
or
or they failed fitness test.
okay. But but both of those two things. So the people that failed, right? Are they able to retry
Yeah,
again?
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, they can keep
They-
keep going.
they can keep going.
Yeah,
So-
the written test has like a 60-day waiting period that you can retest. The fitness exam, if you think you can have a better day the following day, we'll test you.
Okay, so there's positivity in the
They
fact
still have
that,
chances.
yeah,
of
like
getting
you know
on.
what I mean.
Absolutely.
Like yesterday wasn't my day. I didn't feel good when I woke up in the morning.
Right, they rolled
or
an
something.
ankle, or they just caught a cramp, or it was too hot, or
Right,
didn't get enough rest.
but that's really
Yeah.
great. 16,
I love it.
and so those 16 now. How long until they actually go into the academy? About
They have a chance to make our September academy. So now they'll be moved on to the polygraph portion. After polygraph, they pass that, they go to backgrounds. And backgrounds is roughly the longest part of the entire process, because they're doing research on your history, where you've lived before, credit, things like that. But then after backgrounds, you go to medical, and then that's it.
and so maybe
So
September.
some of those, yeah, can make it all the way to September.
And then that depending on which academy. Well, no, either one. So that's 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, say within 1 year from today or so, they could be either on
They'll probably be
parole
on
and probation
yep.
or
Yeah,
on
they'll
the
be
road.
on field training with one of those divisions. Yep.
On field training.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and these will be fresh recruits too. So if there's still people thinking about doing laterals, contact Nevada State Police. I
Yeah.
think we'll have a lateral academy maybe.
Yeah, we'll have
Early
we'll
summer?
actually have a lateral academy this summer for the group that we have now. So I have about, I think, 4 laterals. We'll have the cadets that are graduating being in that advanced academy. It's 8 weeks long, and that's only really the only thing that's required for a lateral. They just have to make sure that their post is valid within Nevada. If they're transferring from another state, if they're already Nevada post certified, we don't have to do any reciprocity for that. They just apply. They do an 8 weeks training, which is advanced training to get them sped up on Nevada laws or what we deal with as
Yeah,
highway patrol,
range,
or PMP. Yeah.
all that stuff. So
And then if they want to become a trooper, then after the lateral move, they would still have to have field training.
Yeah, they still do
the same
roughly
amount of
17
time?
weeks with field training as a trooper.
As a trooper.
Yep. Because if you're coming from like a local jurisdiction or somewhere out of state, you need to learn what these guys do.
Right,
You know?
right, 100%. Okay.
Yeah.
Nevada State Police Parole and Probation Division Recognition Ceremony. Look at this. So, who is this gentleman?
That is Major Schubert.
No, the one in the middle. That's the major that came here onto Trooper Talk.
Okay, yep.
Right. And he came here with the
Lieutenant Colonel.
with the lieutenant colonel, and he was very excited to go on the Trooper Talk. Yeah, very good. All right, tell us what we have here. You got recognized.
So this is obviously parole and probation's recognition ceremony. The various times of service. So I believe, well, I know I had 5 years of service. This is Officer Boyer. I don't know what her recognition was for. I believe it was for being part of peer support. So somebody that, you know, if I was having issues or any, I just wanted to talk to somebody as a peer. She's a representative that's, you know, somebody that you can go talk to, you know, as like a closed door, just between me and you, conversations and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I believe years of service here too.
So when it comes to things like this, what do you do with your, like, what do? You put that in your house? Or?
That specific certificate?
Yes. Like, I mean, you must be proud to have it. So, like, what do you I know people that just throw them in a closet. That's what I was asking.
Mine is not in the closet, actually.
Okay.
It's kind of embarrassing. It's actually in my laundry room.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
But it's only because it went from my bag,
Right.
and I put it somewhere so my kids didn't rip it, and it's been there ever since. But it's right next to our little mailbox forms and papers
That
and
is
stuff.
funny.
I am proud of that 5 years.
Yes. Tell us why.
Well, one, I was able to stick it out this long,
Right.
and now, you know, I'm, you know, fully tenured in here at 5 years. But in a way too, like, it means a lot to me, but in a way it doesn't. Like, you get that by just being here, you know. So I'm not going to put that on a wall. I'm not very boasting of myself in that, you know, regard.
But it's good that they give recognition.
Yeah.
I mean, these departments,
Yeah.
you gotta give some recognition for your employees.
Yep.
For being a good employee, showing up to work and doing your job. And
I mean, it's
all
great
that
because, like,
stuff,
there's not a lot of places that actually do this.
Right.
You
And
know?
so let me touch on that. So
Yeah.
you're so passionate about your job and for what it is that you do, from the parole and probation to the recruiting, that you're just excited to be able to do your job, and the recognition from a piece of paper is not as much as the mental excitement that you feel for your working. Would that be, like, fair?
Yeah, I mean, I have my own fulfillment, and I don't know if that's just me or not. But like just being able to have the relationships that I build and things like that over the 5 year period, that means more than, you know, being recognized at this thing.
Yeah.
You know, the 5 years of meeting new people. You know, within the 5, I've met him, I met you, and being a part of recruiting now, I meet a lot of people. So
it's
that's
like
what drives me
It's
every
like
day.
it's a better world.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said before on one of these episodes, I used to work at one of the hotels. I was there for like 6.5 years.
No fulfillment.
And I'll just draw a blank. I don't think I ever got anything. And I'm the same person, so I
But
would think
you
that
know what? He's making differences in people's lives
Yeah.
every day.
Right.
I mean,
no,
he's trying to change
100%.
people's lives, like whether you committed a crime or whatever. And then at the workplace, you know, working together as a team, making sure that everything runs functionally for the
Yep.
state. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, there
You know,
is.
there's-
Yeah. And I think it's really cool because you started to want to do the parole and probation, and you've escalated your career into not only doing that, but then doing the recruiting. You know what I mean? And then, and I look at you, and you retired, and then you came back, and every time that I talk to you, I'm like, so how's it going? You're like, oh my goodness, I'm doing like 6,000 things. You know what I mean? Like, but the thing is that it's really positive, and it's of very satisfying. It's not like, oh, it sucks. I'm so overwhelmed that like I just can't take it.
Because we want to be here. We
and
want to
so
get the job done.
It's very wonderful, and that's what people need to see. That as much as the Nevada State Police asks you to do all these things, you're excited to do them, and that's really what people like.
What's that saying? If you like what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah. Listen, I love what I do. Yeah. You know what I mean? I love to come in. I get to hang out, and you know what I mean? I feel the same just like you guys.
Just like meeting new customers and hearing their stories and the stuff that you love.
100%. Yeah. It excites me in the same way, except I couldn't do what you guys do because I couldn't run towards the violence. Like if there was bad thing, and so, but I think it's really wonderful. And so to hear you say that is sort of very self-fulfilling. Because it's like, you love what you do. And so, we feel honored to be a part of it. I know from my end, and I know we've had the conversation that you coming here on the Trooper Talk is really cool every week. Like, we get to hang out and all that stuff.
I enjoy having them here. That's why I told them, hey, if I'm going to do Trooper Talk, you got to do Trooper Talk.
You got to do it too. But it's
and not only that, because it's great having them here because for recruiting purposes, we can tell because, we're constantly recruiting. We can notify everybody what's going on, and he has the ins and outs of what's going on. Yeah. Like if you need extra training or if you have questions about recruiting or anything, or if they wanted to call in or whatever, he's always there to help you. So it's great having him on. I love it. And not only that, he's a representative for parole and probation. So if you have questions about parole and probation, which is our other big, I would say, brother, you know what I mean? Highway Patrol and parole and probation are like the two biggest agencies within the state police. You got both perspectives on each side, which is great.
And they both intermingle.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yep. Like, because somebody does something bad over here, and the consequences
end up on the other side.
Right over.
And not only that, we do like our yearly training as emerged, departments and divisions. So,
what is that? Tell us.
So, like the yearly training that we have to do, it's like our defensive tactics, MAGTAC, sometimes EVOC, so emergency vehicle stuff.
Oh, so you get to do it all
and we
together?
have yearly classes, just like any other job or like corporate job. There's yearly classes that you have to take, like sexual harassment and workplace violence and all that kinds of things. You have to do that yearly as yearly training. So we intermingle with the divisions, and all the divisions are invited to those yearly classes.
Well, they're required too.
Yeah, required. Yeah.
So the thing is, everybody is intermingled and everybody's on the same page. Just like when he talked about MACTAC, that's our, like if we have a school shooting or something massive happens, if a parole and probation officer shows up where a state trooper's at one of these schools, he knows exactly, if we have a 4-man team going, he knows exactly what he's going to do at everything. That's why we train so closely together. Same with our driving skills, our defensive tactics, we use the same procedures because there's a lot of liability, a lot of other things that happen, so we want to make sure everybody's trained the same way so there's no issues, or they can't say, well, I was trained this way by this department. No, everybody's trained the same. So.
Yeah, no, that's very smart, what I'm saying? And again, it comes down from the leadership, and then now, like, even more so when it comes to the recruiting and all that type of stuff. I'm very excited you got 16 people. That's 16.
I'm very excited.
That's
I was hoping at least 24, but you know what I mean? But you know what? It might happen because those same people, what I can tell them today is, hey, if this is something you've always wanted to do, don't give up on your dream.
Yeah, don't quit.
Not everybody gets hired the first time, and that's why it gets frustrated with a lot of people. Oh, I didn't get hired by them, I'm not going to test again. No, if you really want a job, you apply 3 or 4 times, and then finally you'll probably get that job, and it'll be well worth it in the end. Not everybody gets hired the first time. So if you really, really want to be a state trooper or parole and probation, I always say, hey, retake that test, or have somebody help you with that test. get a book, start studying a little bit, and maybe talk to the recruiter. How can I improve my scores or do better on the test? And then if you have some physical problems, as far as physical activity for the physical testing, you can contact Officer McClarty, and he'll come out on his own time and show you the steps that you can do on your own, and then he'll help you with some other stuff to pass those physical tests. So if it's something you want to do, never give up, you know.
Let me ask you something. The written exam, is that something that a person prepares? Is that something it has a book, or is that just like
there's a study guide that we have like a link to that you can purchase.
So what I'm saying is so before a person would come to do the written exam, they can at least prepare.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So at least there's some study materials out there, like you said. So that. And
then same with the fitness exam. On our website, it's posted on what the requirements are for our initial testing, and you can really do it by yourself. Other than the agility run, you kind of have to have cones, and the amount of it's 30 feet long, and they have to be placed in a certain fashion. But like a 1.5 mile, 300-meter run, you can time those out yourself. Push-ups, you can see the proper form on our website. Sit-ups, same thing. Oh. So you know the amount that you have to accomplish, and you can do all that stuff at your home.
And then do you have to do that every year, or once you're?
No, we don't. We don't do that every year. No.
Well, like once you're in, then then you don't have to do the. Oh, that's fantastic.
I mean, in the academy. Once you get in the academy, you'll be doing runs.
Oh yeah, you'll be
extra.
You'll be work that. You'll be working out.
But once you graduate as a trooper or parole and probation officer, you won't have to do that again. Then it'll be up to you to maintain your physical fitness and all that, and doing your mandatory and required training every year.
Yep.
So
right, because I was going to say, as you get older, it's harder to do push-ups and things like that.
Oh, I know. I know.
Gas! Brakes! Gas! There you go.
So EVOC stands for Emergency Vehicle Operation Course. It's where we teach our cadets how to properly operate emergency vehicles, either in normal everyday operation or emergency driving scenarios as well. The cadets coming in, they've been driving for various amounts of years, and so for some it can be difficult to change their driving habits and teach them the proper driving habits that we want them to learn and apply out on the roadways. So the main factors that we want cadets to concentrate on while they're driving, their safety line and turns, make sure they're steering the vehicle properly. We want the cadets to understand that on the course it's just cones that they might be striking, but in the real world that could either be a vehicle or a pedestrian. So we want to ingrain that in their minds, that the importance of operating a vehicle safely is paramount while out there serving our communities. EVOC is probably one of the most fun courses that they'll take during their academy, this and range. We have a lot of fun exercises that they get to go through.
We've gotten a license. We knew about the road signs and the speed limit and you know what I mean, and all this type of stuff. But we're not race car drivers. And so when you take a car or a truck or whatever it is and you take it to the nth degree of what that car or truck can do, and you don't know what you're doing, it can have life consequences. And too many people feel that because they get into a car or a truck, impaired or not impaired, and they think that truck or car could do 125 miles an hour. I was watching this program that I watched for the police things on the weekend, and there was a guy. The person was pulling him over, and he said, "Get out of please pull over right away." And the guy turned around and looked at him in a car, and turned around and took off. And the police car was chasing him at 146 miles an hour. Different state, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
This car, you know, so the guy got out. So then the car crashes, right? And they get the guy out of the car. And all of a sudden they go, there's 2 kids in the car. One's 15 and one's 10. Then they showed, and then they got the passenger out of the thing, and they have found all these drugs and all this stuff in the car, right? So these cars, although they're made to go at high speeds, are not made to be traveling at such crazy speeds, and people are not race car drivers like you guys who are trained, who take your car, who take it on a track, who learn how to do maneuvers and things like this because you know how that car or truck works. And people don't do that. And so they end up killing people. And so when it comes to that, the speeding is one of the things that is taking over our roadways because people are driving too fast. And now that we're getting into the summer, people are just going to be even more reckless.
I'm glad you brought that up because you know what? I just called Kim, our PIO up north, and I had her post. I had Trooper Vossner, it's a trooper here in Vegas, and it was at over on the 215 in Eastern. And you know it's 65 miles an hour, and you know how congested it gets right there, right on the Beltway going towards Henderson.
Yeah,
122 miles an hour, and he took a picture of it on the radar at 122. And he sent it to me, and he said, hey, look at what I got today. So I called Kim, and I said, hey, let's post that on our Facebook and X, you know, formerly Twitter or whatever, to let people know, hey, this is the kind of people that, you know, if we're available and we can get them, we're going to stop them and write them for reckless, you know what I mean? But this is the kind of speeds that we're seeing. I mean, how many times have you probably been on the Beltway? I drive on the Beltway in my personal car, and if I'm doing like 5 over, 10 over, people are passing me like I'm the slowest vehicle there. They're doing 90s, 100 miles an hour on our roadways, and they're not. The reason that we have the speed limits the way they are is so that everybody can handle that speed on those roadways. When you were talking about that 146 or whatever in that pursuit, and I'm surprised those people even lived because, you know, our cars are made with the crush factor, and they're made, you know, with the airbags and the seat belts, and they're made to save you, but you're not invincible. I mean, it would only take one person that wasn't seatbelted in there, and they would be ejected out. Or if they stayed in the car, if they weren't already deceased, they'd have some serious injuries because going at that speed will kill you. And I don't think people realize, like I told you in the past, when I used to pull over some high speeders going up to Mesquite, I get them in the hundreds all the time. And there'd be some young kids like 16, 18 years old, just got their licenses, and they're driving this fast. And the one thing I always asked them, hey, if you had a total blowout right now, do you think that you could handle this vehicle? And you know what the majority would say? No. Then why are you doing this kind of speed? And I even tell them, if you try to correct it on those soft, we have like soft gravel, like sandy shoulders, right? And with the weight of the car, getting off onto and let's say you even have a blowout and you got the rim or whatever, and it doesn't even have to be the rim, just the tire, and you get out that soft shoulder and you start to turn, well, that car still has that momentum going straight away at that speed, right? So even though you turn the wheels, now that wheel's going sideways to turn, but you don't have any more pavement, so it digs into the sand. Guess what? It's a rollover every time. So at that kind of speed, I've seen terrible rollovers, a lot of fatalities from that. But people, and some of it, people panic or whatever for certain reasons. They'll overcorrect, and you know, and it's driving skills. I mean, they haven't gone to the courses that we take and professional driving and all that. But yeah, I always say, hey, you need to slow it down because you cannot correct it once it's in motion. You go in that kind of speed, you'll never be able to correct it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, no brakes will save you on that.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Reckless driving in the state of Nevada could be a felony, and a felony could end someone onto parole and or probation, depending on what the outcome from that felony could be.
Well, reckless is only a felony if it's if it
explain.
causes a fatal. Just to let you know, it is a
Okay,
misdemeanor.
so-
I don't want people
No,
thinking
no,
that
so
it's just a
explain.
felony. It's a misdemeanor.
Felony if it's a fatal.
Yeah, well, if they create a fatal from being reckless, it can
reckless.
turn into a felony.
It
It'll be a different
Otherwise,
charge.
it's a misdemeanor.
It's a misdemeanor, and right now a lot of our stuff are infractions. You know, they've kind of changed it from misdemeanors to infractions now. But the thing is on
But you could
reckless
go to jail,
driving,
right?
oh, you can go to jail easily, even for speed. I've took people to jail, you know, at doing 130, 120. There used to be maybe 20 years ago when we had you at 110, we'd probably take you to jail. You know, we don't have that as much now for the speeding, but you got to realize if you do get a reckless ticket, there's 12 points on your license, right? If you get convicted on that reckless driving, that's 8 points off your license. Now you're holding just on 4 points for that, you know, for the year. So people got to realize, and then also the insurance companies get a hold of that. And you don't think your insurance is going to go up, and once they see you're reckless driving and everything, your insurance is going to start going up.
And these people that are doing the reckless driving are also can be doing the speeding and by driving impaired, and those people can end up on the parole and probation, and you can be the nicest person, doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you can be the nicest person in the world, this can be the only time that you've ever done anything in your life that's bad, and their life as they know it could be over and completely flipped upside down, right?
Right. One poor choice creates years of reporting to us, you know, laws and regulations of their conditions on probation or parole that they have to abide by for the terms of their, you know, commitment to probation or parole, 2 to 5 years possibly. So that's one decision for a long period of time. And then also, like, it affects jobs later on in life, affects your probably your family status, your relationships, things like that, depending on, you know, what it was you got convicted of or anything like that. So like one poor decision can have a trickle effect, you know, for the rest of your life. It doesn't always have to be that way, but it can. And it's something to think about. Like, one decision can really tarnish or ruin you in a way. So it's something to always think about. Like, if I'm making this decision, what are the possibilities of something going wrong, or what are the outcomes? And it's even us speaking to somebody, and that's the reason why we have to have a level head when we're doing things, is because if we acted out of emotion, acted out of, we'll just say emotion, we could possibly make a poor decision, right? Getting mad at somebody, that can alter my ability to effectively communicate with somebody, or deter or de-escalate a situation to where it gets worse from there. Yeah. So we always have to think about, if I do this, what's going to happen?
Because the consequences,
yep.
Like, you know, if someone is convicted of a felony, like, you know, but there's obviously, besides they couldn't do any type of law enforcement, but I'm sure there's a lot of jobs that they probably could not be hired for or something. You know what I mean?
Well, if you drive for a living, you know, and that's why we're here, to kind of educate the public. You know, that's why we have these forums to kind of talk about it. That is it really worth the risk of doing that, and then putting other lives in jeopardy? That's the main thing. I mean, there could be somebody just going to work like they always do, and then somebody careless and very reckless on the road ends up slamming into them and causing him to wreck into somebody else or killing somebody. It could turn their whole lives upside down, and then all of a sudden you're going to court and meeting Officer McClarty after you're doing time or whatever. So, I mean, it's all about education, and we've talked about it before many times. You know, if you think you're going to have it's going to be like really a packed weekend and you got to get somewhere or work, certain days are busier than others. On, you know, Fridays aren't as bad. I think they some of these people have like the 4-day, 3-day work week. I noticed that.
I wish they could.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I wish I could do it.
Yeah, well, I noticed that because the roads aren't as busy, you know, especially on the weekends. But if you know you got to get somewhere, just plan ahead. You know, just go a little early. You don't have to do the last minute. The one things that really irritate me is a lot of these motorcycles, and I know that They do it purposely because their license plates are hidden or they don't have them.
They push it underneath.
And they are flying down the shoulders in the morning. I had 2 in one day while I'm going to work, and people probably wonder, why aren't you going after these people? Because there's no way that I can catch them. They're going in between vehicles. I had one buzz me doing probably 120 miles an hour, buzzed my vehicle, and going down splitting lanes, you know, all the way through. And earlier I was on the far left lane. We got 4 lanes on the 215, and I'm in my patrol cruiser, and there's another, we call them crotch rocket, like motorcycles, doing over 100 miles on the shoulder. You know what I mean? But you're not going to catch up to them. You know what I mean? There's just no way. So all we can do is call it in and then hope that they don't wreck into somebody or kill themselves, you know, in the process. But we have some issues with those motorcycles out there with those high rates of speed.
I get scared enough driving fast in my car, and that has 4 wheels.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
right.
And
your
right.
insides are
Like you know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't even possibly in my life fathom. You know, because I always see those the ones that have the 2 wheels in the front and then the 1 wheel in the back. Right? And I always think like how cool, you know, like and it's cool, but the biggest hurdle is it's not you, it's somebody else.
That's what I always worry about.
Like, you know
Absolutely.
what I mean? You're cruising and it's somebody that's driving at an obnoxious speed or something like this, or just decides to, you know, there was I saw there was a DUI in Henderson. When was that? Like a few days ago. And I think it was a motorcycle, and the guy lived off of the one road.
Okay.
And he turned out from his house onto the main road, and the person slammed into him, and he was drunk coming out of his house.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah. Oh well, we had that big semi crash with the 3 motorcycles, and the semi, you know, going in the the wrong lanes, and the motorcycles are coming around a curve. There's nowhere to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, parties are deceased, and it's a sad thing because these guys are probably just going out for the day, a nice Saturday or Sunday drive, just enjoying it with your buddies, and something like that happens. And you said it perfectly. You could buy that 3-wheel motorcycle and have so much fun, but I'd always constantly be worrying about somebody else hitting me.
Yeah.
And I used to ride motorcycles all the time. I rode motors for the Highway Patrol. I had my own Harley Road King and an Indian Chief, and love motorcycles, but anymore, I won't do it. I've seen so much and so many things that can happen. Now I gotta be in a car or truck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
too much, and unfortunately, people they don't care about others like they should, and so they're very reckless, and so you know. I'm sure 97% or 98%, whatever the number is, are fantastic.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's the 1% or the 2% that are just these lunatics that have no care in the world.
I mean, they end up paying the price down the road when they keep driving like that. But the sad thing is, whose other life are they going to take or ruin? You know what I mean? And devastate some family. We never want that to happen. You know what I mean? We always say, hey, if you're going to go jump off a bridge, jump off a bridge.
Right.
But, I mean, we're going to be there to try to stop you and help you, you know what I mean, and get you the proper help. But some of these people, you get to wonder why they do what they do. I can't speak for them.
I don't understand it. Congratulations. Congratulates and proudly welcomes the state's newest officers and troopers to the department. What do you think of that, Officer McClarty?
So we had 6 people graduate this last academy, and 3 are going to parole and probation, and 3 are going to Highway Patrol. And then on here on the right in the center is the 3 new troopers that we have. They'll be with the Highway Patrol, and then I think Officer McClarty, you met the other 3 from parole and probation. Are they on the other side?
I have not met them. This is the Northern Academy. But I did meet one of them because she was one of my recruits from Las Vegas. So Darian, she's the one in the center middle there on the right-hand side. She is a Las Vegas, officer now. So she's working at our parole and probation office here in Las Vegas.
Here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so she came through me as a recruiter. She worked out with me for like 6 months prior to
explain that to me.
So she was off by a couple push-ups. And she really wanted this position, So she came and worked out with me for like 6 months straight.
That's great.
Even after she passed the test,
Mm-hmm.
she came and worked out all the way leading up to her academy.
That's somebody dedicated there.
Right, and the reason I wanted to bring that up is because that's the type of woman and or man, not her, but I'm saying like you're looking for a man or woman, but that we're looking to try to talk to, so that you can, not everybody is perfect, and maybe some people need a little bit of extra, but that's something that you do for the Nevada State Police that no one else does.
Right.
And
I mean, and it's a testament to the type of people we're looking for too, right? So he had mentioned like, don't quit. She could have easily quit if missed the push-ups and was like, oh, we'll push them, start my thing. Could have been an easy decision, right? Could have just said, hey, maybe this isn't for me.
And then we would have one less person
Right.
that is dedicated.
Yep. One less good officer that wants to come out here and make a difference, and she'll have a passion for this job, and she's going to do great.
But she had it in her heart, the
Right.
passion and the drive to keep going.
Right.
And that's the kind of people that we want
Right.
in Nevada State Police. We don't want you quitting. We're going to teach you to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have problems, we've talked about this. That's why we're a team. If you need help, we'll help you. We're always going to be there for you. It's like family. One of the great things, like when you have smaller academies like this, I did a lateral academy. There's like 12 of us. And we had our graduation, and it was at the Governor's Mansion. And this is what you're seeing in the back. This is the Governor's Mansion up in Carson City. So that's where they got their picture taken in front. Fabulous place.
And
Fabulous.
it's very special.
It is very special. You've earned something. You earned that title.
Right.
So.
And so parole and probation, do they get the take-home car too?
They do. Both divisions get a take-home vehicle.
Both divisions. So it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
And after you get out of the academy, you have to go through the 17 weeks of training, and then that's when you get your car?
Yeah, so once you're off your field training, then you're on your own. They get issued their car during the academy. Or sorry, not academy. Their field training. They just can't take it home yet. So they'll start getting used to their car on field training. They'll use their car every day on field training, and then they'll leave it at the office. So once they're done with field training, then they're able to take it home.
Once they're done,
Yep.
because then it's officially theirs.
Now
they
it's
can be
officially theirs. They're on their own. They're ready to go. Yep.
And that's one unique thing about being a state trooper or parole probation, and it's nationwide too, is state troopers get to take their vehicles home. It's your own office. Nobody else touches the car. You're responsible for it, but you set it up the way you want. The radios, you still have to have all the same equipment like everybody else, but you can set it up the way you do your job because that's your office. And the nice thing is, compared to other agencies, they have to bring all their stuff every day in their own personal cars and switch out cars. Old cars that are running nonstop, where you have a brand new car and it's your car and nobody else gets to use it, which is very beneficial. But the only thing is, one of the reasons that we do that is for being a state trooper is because we could have natural disasters or major emergencies within the state. And since we're state officers and also state troopers, we might be summoned up by the governor or somebody, higher in our high command, that we have to go to Reno tomorrow. Like if, let's say, God forbid, we had a riot or something major, they could pull us and we'd have to go out there and do our jobs out there. So we have to be functional statewide. And that's why we get all the training and all the laws, ordinances, and everything, because we can enforce every law within the state of Nevada. And like you talked about roads, we're just not always on the highways. We can enforce everything on the residential areas, just your basic roads, all the highways and interstates. So we can pretty much go everywhere and enforce all laws. And I think I've told people I do tell people when I explain our job, but I also explained it before on your show too, is that let's say some of these smaller communities, like we're up in Battle Mountain, Nevada, you know where that's at? It's so small. Let's say they don't have a deputy sheriff that can respond, and there's a domestic or something. A state trooper, if he's available, will end up doing that domestic and arresting that person and doing all the paperwork that's necessary for that, even though it was for that police agency or sheriff's agency that's supposed to handle it, if they're unavailable, we'll end up doing that in some of these small towns. And some of the small towns don't have all the equipment, like for crime scene investigation, all that. They'll call our Nevada Division of Investigation through the state. And they'll be able to do all the investigations because they don't have the resources, the money for it. And we have all the equipment and the training and the personnel to do it. So then we'll take it over for them if they request us to do that.
Yeah, and you don't have to pay for the gas for your take-home car.
Nope.
Right? So I don't know how much money that is in savings for a person to go, for the fuel, right? But then the wear and tear from the car, then, whether a person, pays the car off or has a monthly car payment, like all these things are real dollars that Nevada State Police puts back into your pocket by giving you the take-home car. Mm-hmm. And so it's real money, that's real savings, and so that's why to be a part of the Nevada State Police is so important, because it's one of these tremendous benefits, and that's why we always love to talk about the take-home car, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just think about it. You fill up your car, a basic car is maybe $30 plus every time. If you're doing that maybe every couple of weeks because of the time you're driving to and from work and then your odds and ends on the weekends, well, you only really have to worry about the weekends now because you're driving your work vehicle every day. So you're saving a lot of money.
And the wear and tear
over
and all
time.
that is
Yeah.
tremendous. It's
Even if it was like $200 a month,
right?
You just think that's upwards of $16,000 or something, right?
Right. I would think it's got to be 25,000.
Yeah.
About $10,000 or $20,000 a year by the time you're all said and done.
If you have maintenance and all that other
gas,
stuff, oil,
and
all that, you might
tires and
you might save $5,000 maybe.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what? And he said $30. He must have like a little 4-cylinder car because with the gas prices, man,
well,
I tell you what, in a week or two,
have,
I'd be paying $80 a week.
I was comparing it to a car I do have because that's true.
But if people have 8 cylinders or something, man, you're paying some big money.
You're very investigative because I do have a Lexus
I'm just saying.
hatchback hybrid thing, and it's like $35, $30.
Well, I'm just saying. I got the big V8, so it'd be like $80 a week.
But if I were to fill up my other car, that sucker's like $65.
It's just painful.
It's a lot of money.
It's
a lot of money.
It is.
You know what I
It's
mean?
a big savings, and it's a great benefit for you because being a state trooper, once I leave my house and I get on the radio, I'm at work. So I go what we call 1041, which means I'm on my job right now. And I can leave my house and I'm getting paid,
right then
I'm
and
driving. There. Yeah. Because if something does happen, I got to handle it right there, so but that's a great benefit to have. You can't beat that.
Yeah, the take-home car is the best, you know what I mean? Civilian professional staff. Records, Communications, and Compliance Division, including the Fingerprint Support Unit. Civilian jobs. You know what I mean? And so Nevada State Police loves the civilians. They love the sworn officers. And there's a lot of things that the civilians do that the sworn officers don't do.
Yeah.
And so, in the times that we've had, the dispatchers come here and all this type of stuff, they do a lot of things, and that's why we need to hire for the civilian professional staff as well as the sworn officers, right?
Right. And all these positions, these civilian positions, can be found on our NevadaStatePolice.com. It's towards the bottom, civilian job opportunities, and we have plenty. Fingerprint unit. So if you're looking for something that's not so much law enforcement, but still involved in law enforcement as something that helps the community, helps you and your addiction to crime shows, like this is a perfect place to go.
And that's perfectly said. Like we said, we have administrative jobs open right now, and if anybody wants to be like a dispatcher or sit along with dispatch, go ahead and give us a call, and we'll make it happen at NevadaStatePolice.com. And we'll get you in there and see what if you do like that as a dispatcher or maybe possibly working at the fingerprint support unit. These jobs are always actively open. So
it's wonderful having both of you guys here. You know what I mean? And the thing is that every time we keep doing this, we keep giving more information to the public. You know, let's end this with the fact of, you know, tell us about the weather, you know, and what we're experiencing, about the hot, the cold, all that type of stuff. Maybe you became a meteorologist. But,
There you go.
You
There you
know
go.
what I mean? But you know, with the cars and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of cooling down now. I mean, we had that heat that I
Yeah.
reminded everybody last week, but what I want to remind people as it gets hot, kind of check your tire pressures. A lot of people just put it off because tire pressures, when you have inclement weather where it gets hot, cold, and everything, a lot of people have sensors in their cars, and it kind of gets kind of irritating. But you do have to have that proper tire pressure in your cars. Make sure you take water if you're traveling somewhere. We're in a desert. I always say make sure you have water with you and a spare. Make sure that your spare tire is always working, not working, but actually inflated. Because I don't know how many times I've stopped out, and I'm talking a lot of people go across country, and they don't have a spare, or they'll get their spare out, and the tire's flat. And we don't have the means to really pump it up. Some people don't have those nice air compressors that hook up in the, you know, the little cigarette lighter or whatever, which are kind of nice, you know what I mean, if you need it. But I don't know how many people go and they have flat spares or no spares. And that becomes a problem because now you're going to be sitting out there, and hopefully you have like a AAA or some kind of tow package that they can either come out and help you and fix that tire on the spot, or somebody to pick you up and you have to take your tire and try to get it fixed in town and come back, and that can be very costly. So always make sure that you have that in there with you. I always tell people, always have all your paperwork available too, just in case you do get in a crash or something happens, or you get stopped by the police. Always have your registration in the car. And if you don't have it and you're worried about somebody taking it in your car or something, always have a photocopy of it. So you always have that registration with you and your current insurance, because you have to have it's the law. You have to have current insurance in the state of Nevada at all times, and your ID, your driver's license. So, but with that, I'm just saying, kind of slow it down. Always buckle up. This next show that we're probably gonna have on Trooper Talk, we're joining forces, is coming up May 13th through the 24th, and it's going to be seatbelts. So I'm going to be reminding people always buckle up and slow down, and that'd be my best advice for coming up with this hot weather.
Officer McClarty, you know, well, let's hear your synopsis of the weather.
Of the weather.
Right.
Well, make sure when it starts getting hot, you got your favorite ice cream joints, right?
Okay.
There you go.
Lovett's is a pretty good place downtown.
Okay.
Lovett's
I
is good.
bet you they love you for that.
I'm not endorsing or
He just has small kids,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they always want the ice cream. They're like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Daddy,
That's
ice
exactly,
cream, ice
absolutely.
cream.
exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
The kids love the ice cream.
You
Right.
gotta beat that.
But more or less, like, always have water in your car.
Absolutely.
Like-
I mean, that's like a mainstay, especially being in a desert.
And me having kids, like, I always have to have a drink because they always want something, right? They always need something. So now I just have a habit of bringing myself
You got the
something
little
plus
fish?
theirs,
Little
because
fish?
they'll drink theirs and then they'll take mine. Yes.
And the thing is that, you know, as we laugh about that, but you know, we can always talk about the fact of the distracted driving.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
right, and so better to be prepared.
Absolutely.
Right, like, because you know the kids are in the back seat. They're like, we want something to drink, and it's like, here, you know what I mean. And so we have to be prepared. And,
Yeah,
and stuff
make
like that.
sure, like if you had a cooler or something where it's next to you, where you can just grab and hand or whatever. You never want to take your eyes off the road at any times, and especially your hands when you're driving with the wheel, because it can happen that fast. I mean, you can lose control. And you know, distracted driving, it's not always just eating or anything like that. It's any time that you take your mind and your eyes off the road, and that's where problems become and also persist with a lot of people that do distracted driving.
We're getting close to the 150th episode, and we're really excited, and we have some really good things, and so you know.
Absolutely,
soon
we're excited
enough,
too.
you know
For
what I
you,
mean?
Neil. Yeah.
And last and final thing is, we have Police Week coming up,
Yes,
and we're gonna have some good videos and all that too. Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys, and
Yeah,
we'll
see
see
ya.
you soon.
All
okay.
right, see you.